welcome in to Two Ball Guys on the Right. We've been doing the national Two Ball Guys on the Right. We decided on Thursday we would do the New Mexico Two Ball Guys on the Right because God knows we got lots of material here in New Mexico.
Man, do we.
It's like the crazy train is about to hit the tracks.
It's pretty it's pretty frustrating living in the state and having to deal with the Democrats that control the northern end of it, especially, and all that we try to do to at least bring some normalcy, and it just keeps falling on deaf ears.
I can see MLG in her booster seat and the caboose. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, with her multicolored mask.
Yes, of course. Yeah, with the and don't forget the jewelry that she had to go out and buy, even when the whole state was on lockdown.
Don't forget the Crown Royal and the Wagyu steaks. Come on.
Yeah, but wait, there's more to that story, and we'll talk about that. They also figured out how much money can you spend on dry cleaning, and why is the state picking up the tab? Oh, boot repairs too. We'll get to all of that coming up this morning.
Fun.
So we got lots of things to talk about. And I want to do, so some of the things we'll talk about tonight, correction officers told that they have to get mandated coronavirus. Also, the abortion. What do some of these legislators believe about the abortion bill that just passed? Stephanie Lloyd, they're saying she's a racist. I'll prove that she is not. Jim Townsend lays out completely what's happened during this session. And New Mexico, we rank close to the bottom of the barrel when it comes to what this pandemic has done to our children. And we'll still talk about a threat. I'm going to tell you what, these Democrats will drop the word threat quicker than they can spend your money. And more pork coming from the governor. And Peter Wirth drops the FBomb. And this guy's a laid-back guy, but he just couldn't take it for one more minute. Just couldn't. Please subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can, get on there and hit the subscribe notification bell and comment in the feed, too, because comments help the algorithm. So if you want to do that, that would be helpful. We would sure appreciate that. And whenever you can, if you haven't already, share the video and tell your friends to subscribe, too.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but I thought these liberals, they were really supposed to be compassionate people. We are beginning to understand they're really not compassionate.
No, they're only compassionate to people who are like-minded. That's the difference. If you're of any other opinion, then they don't like you.
So this was on a Zoom meeting, and it's public information, so we would go ahead and run with it. And I actually copied it off our buddy Randy Pettigrew's page, who was a representative serving Lee County. But Representative Alcon, who is from Cibola.
Yeah, Cibola.
And McKinley counties, had this to say about Texas being open. He's such a compassionate human being. He really is. Really. I mean, yeah, go ahead and roll it. Well, I mean, he's compassionate.
Mr. Speaker, man, your ears are good. Mr. Speaker, I am so happy Texas is doing what they're doing. And, and the only reason that I'm happy that they're doing what they're doing is because they can be our guinea pigs. Now, if all those Texans die, then what can we say? They made a mistake.
You know what I have to say?
What a heartless POS.
Not only that, you're an idiot. I usually respect people that are in, positions of legislation. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. First of all, what is the mortality rate of the coronavirus?
Let's see. Is it the same with masks or without? Oh, it is.
Oh.
And guess what? There are 15 states that don't have a mask mandate. And just because Mississippi and Texas killed theirs all of a sudden, the left is losing their mind. But there's 15 states total that don't have mask mandates.
And by God, if you still want to wear a mask in Texas, wear a mask.
No one's saying not to wear a mask. They're not saying, okay, now you can't wear a mask or it's against the law to wear a mask. What they're saying is, we're not going to tell you have to wear a mask. It's your choice.
Yeah, it really,
which is what it should have been the whole time.
It really cracks me up. I had the coronavirus. I lived to tell. there are people that have died. New study came out and said the number one killer among the coronavirus is obesity, diabetes, and obesity. That came out today. And, we have lost people. But at the same time, look at the mortality rate. The people that have died in the United States for 2020, it's actually the same as it was in 2019.
I wonder how that happens.
Well, the flu killed a bunch of people.
Well, yeah.
And so there are people in New Mexico that are saying, why can't we be more like Texas? The governor came out and said,
She ain't having that.
It is not going to happen. The New Mexico Business Coalition is announced that they hope that we'd be more like Texas and open things up. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Breaking news right before we came on, the governor's announced that football games can have butts in the stands.
Whoa, high school?
High school, based on their what color they are.
Like if they're blue or red or purple
blue, red,
or if they're orange,
turquoise,
like in our teacher's case.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that color. Okay.
Yeah, so they can have butts in the stands. And
so if they're yellow, they can have butts in the stands.
Yeah. So here's the deal, though.
Man, that sucks for Artesia, for Alamogordo,
right?
For Las Cruces.
That whole thing is just wrong because businesses week by week, every 2 weeks, she can change this, and she can. Lee County's open right now where we live. It could be closed in 2 weeks.
Sure.
How can a business continue to do business in this manner? They cannot. But what's crazy is she makes the decision on a Thursday night at 6:35. Now, these school districts have been prepared to video the games and play them, live stream them. They've invested money in this. And then now, guess what? She changes the mind on a Thursday night. I can just see that our governor, Michelle Lujan Gresham, better known as MLG, has never run a business. I don't even know if she ran a household. I'm just saying, because you can't change like that. Now you need security guards. Now you need, concessions. You need a lot of different things. You're going to pull that off in one day?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Governor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful that the parents can watch the kids.
Me too.
But please, I mean, she's bowing to the pressure because, of course, UNM was always able to have spectators. The Isotopes could always have spectators. Mm-hmm. The college soccer team has been traveling throughout the coronavirus. The rules are different based on whoever she cares about.
It's crazy. I don't think we should ever mandate that somebody get a vaccine. I think it should be left up to the individual if they want to get the vaccine. Well, Delgado County came out pretty darn quick about they were mandating their workers, EMS, firefighters, the police, that they were all going to have the coronavirus vaccination. And there are some people that don't want it. And I don't think we should mandate that they have to have it. So lawsuit just came out. I left out correction workers. They were mandated in Delgado County. So a corrections officer is now suing the state of New Mexico and, at least suing Delgado County about the mandate that they have to have the vaccine. So Isaac Legetta filed a complaint with the U.S. District Court that filed a complaint because workers are now being forced or lose their job. So he is facing termination for not taking the coronavirus vaccination. Mandate. We don't even mandate kids in school have to be vaccinated.
There's a couple of them they have to. I think.
You can get exemptions, though. The anti-vaxxers have pretty much taken care of that. My kids were vaccinated, and it could have stunted their growth. But it's
nothing stunted my kids' growth. No. I need something to stunt their growth. Good Lord.
It's kind of crazy that we're mandating people have to get this vaccine. I think it's an individual choice. And I think they'll win that case in the court of law. I do. All right. This story about abortion. Jacob Candelaria. Now, this is the guy that was caught up in the drama that him and his husband, state police went over to their house because he called state police because he got a voicemail. And I'm going to paraphrase what the voicemail said. It said, "We are going to get you out of there one way or another." Well, he took that as a threat.
A death threat. Not just a threat. He took it as a death threat. And he threw a wall-eyed fit. And when state police came and they didn't do everything he thought they should do, he threw them out of his apartment.
He cried like a 12-year-old and threw the "Do you know I'm a senator?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he threw that card
Played
out
the senator
there.
card, yep.
Yes, threw that out there. And then kicked him out of his apartment. Well, I mean, he's already said that he wants to defund the police, but when you need the police and you think you have a death threat, then you call the police. That boy. Here's what he said about the abortion bill that just passed in New Mexico, overturning the 1969 abortion law that now will be able to do abortions and it won't be against the law. And they're taking it one step further, that if a doctor or a nurse fails to do an abortion, they could lose their license in the state of New Mexico. Not that we don't have a shortage of doctors and nurses or anything in New Mexico. We'll chase more. And don't these doctors and nurses have the right to say no? Don't they have some type of rights?
They should.
And look, doctors and nurses, especially doctors, took an oath.
Yeah, the Hippocratic Oath. It goes against, in my opinion, performing an abortion, especially against your will, goes against their oath to do no harm.
To save lives. This is taking lives. So here's what Jacob Candelaria said about abortions and a pamphlet that was mailed out, evidently, and he just so happened to get one of the pamphlets. Here's what he has to say.
Madam President, I just think, I got that same prop from Right to Life of wherever. I threw it away. Threw it right in the trash. Right in the trash. Why? Because it's offensive. Why is it offensive? Because not everybody in our plural democratic society believes that life begins at conception. And just because you believe that morally or because your religion says so, doesn't mean the rest of us have to. We're a democracy.
I think you're offensive.
Yeah, so do I. Very offensive.
I think you're offensive, and I also believe...
I think his condescending tone, standing up there and telling everybody that their beliefs are offensive.
Right. I think he's offensive. And I think it's comical coming from a guy that cried like a damn 13-year-old or 12-year-old. Did I say 12 before? 12-year-old.
You know what I think's offensive? People not taking responsibility for their own damn actions. If you can't keep it in your pants and a baby results, guess what? You're responsible for that baby. Take care of your damn responsibilities, people.
Jacob, if you and the governor can get together and pull your head out your ass and figure out that New Mexico is going in the wrong direction, I would greatly appreciate that. Serious, I would. My friend Stephanie Lloyd, we had her on the air on our morning show several weeks ago. And then after this happened, they started accusing her of being a racist. New Mexico Black-led organization is claiming state lawmakers are using racist behavior and language during committee hearings. Now, earlier in the month, Greg Baca, senator, asked a question to a cabinet secretary, African-American cabinet secretary nominee, if she would be able to represent all races, and he was condemned. And then this happened with Stephanie, and she asked a question. There's zero wrong with what she said, but I'm going to tell you what's going on. New Mexico's African-American population is, what do you think it is, Will?
Less than the national average?
2.6% statewide.
Less than the 13% national average.
So what is happening in New Mexico and around the United States, you have no rights to ask an African-American any questions. Because if you do, you're going to be called a racist. Now, with Stephanie asked the question, I think it was a good question. Have you talked to law enforcement about this law? Because we already have a law on the books. Now, what they were talking about, if a police officer has sex, even if it's, if the other party is okay with it,
If it's consensual,
then it would be a felony. But the lady goes on to say,
they're talking about with an inmate,
well,
or someone in their custody,
right? And she goes on to say that police officers are raping people, and if you're against this law, that you must be raping people. Roll the tape, please.
I have had conversations with law enforcement officers about this bill, and those who I spoke with, who are not harming members of the public, did not have an issue with this bill because they are not raping members of the community that they are charged with protecting. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, was there more?
Yeah, there was more.
Sorry, I can go back to it.
Yeah, there was more. Stephanie goes on to ask. Go ahead, if you could.
We'll run Stephanie's or back to the other one.
The first one, because it would take it out of context. So Stephanie asked the question about, so raping, and so this lady takes offense. Next thing we know, they're calling her out as being a racist when all she did was ask a question. That's it. Ask a question. What the hell's wrong with you people? Just asking a question. Is that too much for you? Unbelievable. So Stephanie takes offense to her using the word that police officers are raping individuals.
Let's go back and hear it from its entirety real
All right,
quick.
here we go.
I have had conversations with law enforcement officers about this bill, and those who I spoke with, who are not harming members of the public, did not have an issue with this bill because they are not raping members of the community that they are charged with protecting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take extreme, to say that they're only officers who are not harming people. Is this what you're saying? I'm going to ask you specifically. Are you saying that only officers who are not raping people are for this bill?
Madam Chair, Representative Lloyd, that is not what I said. I just explained who I had conversations with and the partners that we are partnered with that I had conversations with. And it was not a concern for them because it's not an act that many of the officers they work with are engaged, it's not an activity that many of the officers or themselves are engaged in. I think if there are officers concerned about this bill, we should explore the reasons why.
So if they're concerned about the bill,
it's because they're raping people.
Yeah, they're raping people.
Not because the bill is already on the books and would be wasting money and wasting time approving another bill and whatever else is in this bill that may be hidden. But there's already a law on the books protecting inmates.
Right. Do you remember, it's been several years ago, and I don't know how, 5 to 7 years ago, when there was a state police officer that was having sex with, he was married, he met her out in the middle of nowhere, and they were having sex on the hood of his patrol car.
Wow.
And he forgot to turn off his dash cam.
His dash cam?
That story went national. So that was that was not a shining moment for state police or for his family. We're not talking about that. She used the word raping. And Stephanie took offense to using the word raping. And Stephanie goes on to say that we already have a law on the books. Why are we adding laws that it's already covered? So tape number 2.
Cheers. I'm really feeling like this is some very harsh comments towards police officers because I know some very amazing Leos in the state who do not go around raping people. And what they told me, and this is why I'm asking, is they told me this is already on the books. I already asked them. I said, what would happen if they had sex with somebody, even if it was consensual, well, they had some in custody? And you know what? It's already a felony. It's already on the books. So I'm very sorry that these law enforcement officers did not give you the correct information. I went through this with multiple sheriffs and multiple law enforcement officers. This is already illegal. It's already illegal. It's already on the books. They cannot use that. It's called coercion, and it is a felony. And I think it's incredibly disrespectful to say that the sheriffs who are not harming others are not worried about this, because I have a bunch of sheriffs who I know are not raping people and not harming people, and they already understand that this is a felony. And that's all I have to say on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So did you hear anything racist that she said?
Not one single word.
Well,
but because you're right. But the only thing she did was because the person she was addressing her questions to was African American.
You can't do that.
That makes her a racist.
You cannot do that.
It's a load of crap.
You're a racist if you put somebody on the carpet that is of color. You can't do it.
I'm sorry, if she's not as well informed, that doesn't have anything to do with the color of her skin. Because clearly, I would hope that she didn't understand that this was already on the books. Otherwise, why is she proposing this law?
Unbelievable. I went through, and maybe we'll have Jim on the Thursday podcast at one point. One of my favorite politicians out there is Jim Townsend, very well informed, and he went through and broke down what's going on at this legislative session. And Jim Townsend, incredibly passionate about what he does. And here's some of the things that he pointed out. The budget increase this year, 4.7%, which is better than the last 2 years. Last year we had a 12% increase. Year before that we had an 8% increase. Help me with the math here, Will. 8 plus 12 plus 4.7, let's just call it 5%.
25%?
25% increase in the budget in 3 years under the Democrats. 25%. Now, this money is just not falling from the sky.
Well, and with what they're doing with oil and gas, where's that money going to come from, guys?
God only knows where that's going. So, a couple things that they've already done this session: repeal the law. We talked about the abortion law that was HB 7. So the law that criminalized abortions is gone. Civil Rights Act, $9 million a year.
By the way, that abortion law was never enforced anyway.
No,
This is purely ceremonial.
Yeah,
except for what they're doing to the doctors.
Yeah. So the Civil Rights Act, $9 million a year. Climate Solution Act, $20 million a year. That's HB 9 if you're keeping up with that. Also, the sustainable building tax credits, $2.1 million a year. Real estate transfer tax, $60 million a year. This is where you pay when you sell your home. You're going to have to pay a tax when you sell your home.
Additional tax.
Healthy Workplace Act. This would, by the way, they were super cool with this. This is the bill that would give all these sick days.
It's an hour for every 30 hours worked. So you get an hour of sick time for every 30 hours worked.
So guess who's exempt from that? State employees. I mean, it's so good they didn't even want to include it for state employees. Oh, that's awesome. This is a quick way to bankrupt small businesses for sure. Farmers and ranchers, you now do not have the right to lease your water rights. You are restricted from leasing your water rights. It's your water. It's on your land, but you do not have the right. And this is a direct hit to oil and gas.
Sure it is. It's a direct hit to oil and gas because they want to prevent farmers and ranchers from leasing their water rights to the oil and gas industry to make money to support their industry.
Right.
It's one hand, shakes the other, and they're of course doing away with that completely.
Yep. So also the environmental database, $5 million a year. All felons now have the right to vote. HB 74 was
and they're not rigging the system. They're not rigging the election. Of course not. And what they're doing on a national level pales in comparison to this. We'll talk about that on Monday.
Approve the recreational marijuana. Now, let me just say, me personally, I'm very conservative. I don't see marijuana as being the end-all, the do-all for the Republican Party. I just don't. In fact, we've done polls after polls, and we have a very old listening audience. And guess what? Our listening audience said, not really a big concern.
Look, I see both sides. It's not going to replace oil and gas revenue-wise, and it's not going to harm our population in the way that the right keeps on saying it's going to. I'm something that I choose not to do, but that's not. I think it's way less invasive, way less addictive, way less damaging than alcohol.
I am a medical marijuana patient. And, people, it's kind of funny because people are like, well, that's different. It's medical. It's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, do you actually think if somebody's growing it for recreational or marijuana, they're growing two different? No, they're not.
And how many people with medical cards have it because they like to use it recreational? I'm just asking.
God only knows. But I did the math on this. And it might generate $100 million in tax revenue. $100 million. That's not a lot of money when you consider oil and gas brings in $2 billion. Wind energy brings in, it's 2% of the state's budget. Oil and gas is about 43%. So marijuana, they passed that. Electric generation project, and that's going to cost us $40 billion a year. This is pretty much the same plan that California just put in.
And it's atrocious and ridiculous.
Raise minimum wage, HB 110. Health benefits for non-citizens. Now, this is awesome. We're giving health benefits to non-citizens, but citizens don't get the same thing.
I'm sorry. Well, how does that make sense? So why would you give non-New Mexico residents and citizens health benefits?
So any illegal that comes across the border instantly gets health care. It's awesome.
I'm going to go, figure out how to become an illegal immigrant then.
So how much is that? That's going to cost us $10 million a year. And quite frankly, I think that's a lowball number. Clean Electrification Act, $14 million a year. Public Banking Act, I have no idea what that includes. $50 million a year. Tax code changes, $52 million a year. And here's the deal. All in all, they're going to increase taxes this year more than $500 million. And the list, by the way, goes on and on and on. In the meantime, our kids are not in school full time. Maybe that's something that we ought to be worrying about.
Maybe helping the small businesses by opening up the state. That would be.
No, you got it wrong, Will. Everybody that comes over here, non-citizens, going to get free health care. That is what we're looking for.
What about all the people they release into the state with that are positive for coronavirus that we've proven has been the case?
It doesn't matter. We're giving them free health care. I mean, yeah. Where's your compassion? Where the hell is your compassion?
Look, I have plenty of compassion, but I have compassion for American and New Mexicans first, and then we can help other people.
I have been called a racist almost on a daily basis for the last 10 years.
We're only mentioning illegal immigration.
And here's the deal. I am not a racist. I am a separatist. I believe that American citizens should have more rights than people that just skip over the border. Sorry if that offends you.
I don't know, people who have been paying into the system for their entire lives. I don't know, our retirees, our veterans. I'm sorry, is that out of line to think that they should deserve benefits or help from our government before illegal immigrants?
I've used this analogy before, and this is more of a federal government problem, but it's really a New Mexico problem because our governor has done zero to help. When we needed National Guard troops, she pulled them at the border. So on average, these amnesty seekers are giving $5,000 worth of benefits. You know how much it costs for us to detain people at the border? Lots and lots of money. My mother gets like $1,100 a month and worked her entire life. So we're giving foreigners $5,000 in benefits. My mother's getting $1,100. How is that even right?
It's not.
All right, Save the Children. You've heard of Save the Children, nonprofit organization. They have said that New Mexico ranks among the worst states for children during the pandemic. Now, what did they look at? They looked at the hardships among children. Children that are hardships could include hunger, lack of tools for remote learning, and trouble making ends meet. Evaluation of months upon months of data says that the best states that handled this pandemic include Minnesota, Utah, Washington, and New Hampshire. Worst states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and New Mexico. And I'm going to tell you, I really feel sorry for a lot of these kids that are migrant kids, that their mom and dads don't know the English language that can help them. And these kids are going to be struggling. Look, what's happened in this state is going to set these kids back for years. It's sad. It's sad. All right, our governor, state auditor, examining the governor's use of the fund, the contingency fund, and they've discovered some interesting things. They've discovered that she spent a crap load of money, our tax dollars, on groceries, liquor, dry cleaning, carpet cleaning.
For cleaning the dog crap. Oh.
And shoe and boot repair. So she's got a couple of dogs that are not trained, and they've been pooping all over the place, but she's gotten her boots fixed, and I think that's all that matters. But many, many thanks going out to the people that actually broke this story and so as we know right now, dry cleaning, that's a new one. We didn't know about the dry cleaning. So she spent thousands of dollars on dry cleaning, thousands of dollars on booze. Wagyu steaks, how much are those? $200 a pound?
Nah, no big deal.
I mean, not a big deal. Not a big deal. So public records reveal she spent about $31,000 in total in 2020, and that she spent money on boot repair and booze and all kinds of stuff. And congratulations to our state. We have so much money to keep the governor happy that she just keeps doing the same old thing. So, and by the way, the legislators aren't upset about it. They just gave her a raise. The contingency fund just got increased by 25%. So it was $72,000.
So she didn't spend enough on alcohol and Wagyu steaks and carpet cleaning. She needs some more money.
They gave her $96,000 this upcoming year. I mean, they're so happy that the dogs are taking a poop all over and peeing all over the carpet and government housing that let's just give her an extra 25%.
Sure, why not?
Now, that money was set aside. That money, and I mean, it's for a reason. If there is a company that might be moving to New Mexico that we might want to wine and dine and that type of stuff, that's what it's set aside for. Dry cleaning and fixing your personal boots is not on that list.
Yeah, in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, when there's not any gathering going on, that money is not supposed to be used for that thing. You should have plenty of money left over for the next year so you can save it, I don't know, to maybe give to the citizens or help out with other programs.
We can't do that. They had even set aside thousands of dollars, and they spent thousands of dollars on candy and eggs for Easter. Now, Easter, oh my goodness, that was right in the heart of the pandemic. We were locked down at that point. We were not supposed to be leaving our house.
We were told not to go out on Easter Sunday, period.
But she's spending this money on Easter egg hunts? Come on, Gov. You sound a lot like Gavin Newsom from California. Do as I say, not as I do. Wow. Unbelievable. All right, here we go again. Another story about a Democrat using the threat word. Threatening. They're being threatening at the Roundhouse. Democrat House of Representatives voiced outrage over an email from Otero County official that claims that contained a threat against Bryant Ingoff, the Speaker of the House. Democrats contend that Otero County Assessor Steve Boyd threatened him. He's the president of the New Mexico counties, which advocates for counties to be taken care of by the state. And he said that they were talking about the bill, and I don't know the exact number, but it was about the civil rights bill and the only people that are going to make money off of that are attorneys. And he said Brian Ingoff is going to make a lot of money. Another Democrat getting rich off the people rather than serving the people. That's all he said.
Well, he went on to say,
he said if I had a list, he would be on my list.
What does that mean? He's gonna his assassination list? Good God, could you take that a little too far? I think he meant shit list.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. So Damon Eli, another attorney, says he called it a threat of violence. An email that called for a threat of violence.
You're a damn lawyer. You know the difference between a threat of violence, and that is no way can be construed as a threat of violence.
So they called it the strongest possible terms of a threat of violence. Eli went on to say that
these mamby-pamby Democrats.
I'm telling you, you bunch of mamby-pambies.
I had to use B's word.
And here's the deal. How is that a threat? He didn't say he was going to kill you. He said you were on his list.
List of people he wants to get the hell out of office? List of people who he's pissed off at?
Back in the day, but all these attorneys, man, I tell you what, back in the day, my mother would use the term, you're on my shit list.
Yeah.
And, that didn't mean that she was going to kill me.
No. She still loved you. She just meant you were in trouble.
I was on her list. So I was on her list. So we know we got federal government stimulus money, but it's not enough. It's not enough. New Mexico is broke as a joke, much like the federal government. $30 trillion in debt after we pass this $1.9 trillion. So the governor just signed a bill. Senate Bill 1, Senate Bill 3, a pair of economic relief bills that would expand New Mexico's pandemic relief program for businesses and ensure additional tax relief and deliver $600 in rebates to the poorest workers in the state. And they would also provide millions of dollars in unemployment support, extra $400. But here's the deal. That money's coming from the federal government. It's not even the state government. It's not even their money. But these Democrats spend money like drunken sailors, and I apologize for offending any sailors.
Right.
I apologize. All right. Here's another case of craziness going on in Santa Fe, and I'll be the first to admit, I've been told all my life, why don't you run for politics? Because I don't have the filter. I wouldn't adhere to the decorum.
He barely has a filter for the FCC. He would not have a filter when he's surrounded by a bunch of stupidity like up in Santa Fe.
I do not have the decorum to do it. So tensions boiled over and Senate floor on Monday after the Albuquerque Democrat used a legislative maneuver to stall a bill that he opposed. Here we go again. Little Senator Jacob Candelaria. Yeah. Tried to use this move that kind of ticked off Peter Wirth, who is a majority leader. Peter Wirth and Peter Wirth dropped the F-bomb. Peter Wirth dropped the F-bomb. So Wirth is a Santa Fe Democrat. So this is Democrat going after Democrat, and they're both attorneys, by the way. And told Candelaria that, for a call for a Senate is a procedural move to requires every member to be in the chamber physically at the Roundhouse. And he went on to say, why don't you just
blank yourself?
Blank off.
Oh, blank off.
And put an amendment and like the rest of us do, instead of using, this procedural move that, why don't you just put in an amendment and be done with it? Well, I guess he shouldn't use the F-bomb. And as we know, our friend Candy Spencer said bullshit last year, and she had a Kevin B moment where she just went.
Yeah, but you would make Candy look like a church girl in the middle of church, compared to what you would say on the Roundhouse floor.
I'm wondering if this is the first time in the history of New Mexico that somebody drops the F-bomb while having a discussion. I'm just wondering. Me personally, I think we need, I'm not saying F-bomb, but we need more.
Like real talk?
Yeah.
Less BS?
Well, I don't know if you've seen other like other countries, the way they debate stuff. Some of them take their shoes off and throw them at each other and stuff.
Hit you in the head with a chancla.
Yeah, I think we need more of that. I really do. I think we need more.
Well, maybe not.
I think it would be quite interesting, and maybe we get more things done. So the state is not on the road to recovery. We've had 25% increase in the budget in the last 3 years. Michelle Lujan Gresham will have one more year to right the ship, and I am only hoping and praying that we get a Republican that can beat Michelle Lujan Gresham. But I will say this much. We're less than 2 years away, and we still don't have one candidate yet. So we need somebody to step forward and run for governor in the state.
Without a doubt.
And I don't care who that is, as long as they can beat MLG.
Amen.
MLG kind of sounds like the stuff they put in Chinese food.
Yeah. The preservative?
Yeah. But in this case, MLG would make the preservative they put in the food, Chinese food. You eat it and then you become hungry after, an hour or so.
You eat it, you become sick in this case.
In this place, MLG, you're just so disgusted you just don't want to eat.
Either that or it comes right back up.
Yeah, either way. So God bless you guys. We'll be back next Thursday with the New Mexico edition of Two Ball Guys on the Right. And, of course, we'll be back Monday with the national show. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification. That way, every time we come on. Look, we're not that far away from getting to 1,000 subscribers. That's the pinnacle peak that we need to be at to be monetized. So please let your friends know about Two Ball Guys on the Right. And New Mexico, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. God bless.
For sure. Don't forget, we're streaming podcasts as well, so you can get us anywhere you stream a podcast. Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. We're all up there as well. And like us on social media, and we will talk to you again on Monday with the national version of Two Ball Guys on the Right.